Cumulus kitties and dewdrop dogs. Unpack your ponchos, top up the mercury reservoir in your barometer, and, Nick, do you know why Snoop Dogg always carries an umbrella?
For the drizzle.
Pew, pew, pew! And then you should say, it is time to talk Tull to me.
Oh, and yeah, it's time to talk Tull to me.
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Omen Thomas Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are the Feckless Momes.
And this, my fine mist, is Talk Tull to me.
An unexpected backscatter in the troposphere of prog rock in which Nimbostratus Nick and Offshore Omen will triangulate our psychrometers to take readings on each and every thunderous track that rogue wave rock band Jethro Tull have ever made to flash in the collied night of our souls. Much like unto Helen Hunt in the 1996 meteorological thriller Twister, we will drive straight toward the gale warning gusts of Andrew Giddings. We will watch in horror as the Diablo winds of Doane Perry envelop the other Tull pods, and we will release our weather probes into the massive macro burst that is Martin Barr. And if, by some moist miracle, we survive the broadsword blizzard, breathe the atmosphere of Aqualung, and hang on through the heavy horse's haboob, we just might glimpse the rock and roll rainbow at the end of the storms from the wood, that slushy Scotsman, the crosswind curmudgeon, the flautist flammagenitus, the reason that rain clouds carry umbrellas, Ian Anticyclone Genesis Anderson. That one was kind of, that one took me by surprise.
That one was chunkier than the one you did with all of the earth science lingo, which was also very, very jargon heavy.
Lots of meteorological terms.
You know that they put out a sequel to Twister just recently?
Yeah, Twisters.
Apparently it was awful.
Not surprised.
So many sequels that just no one ever wanted. Just why?
I don't know. Something to do, I suppose.
I guess. Got money to burn.
Nick.
Omen.
Hello. What is the song that we are going to get wet talking about today?
Oh, mercy. We are on the second to last track off of Roots to Branches already. It is track number 10. It is Stuck in the August Rain.
Get out your tissues, because we're about to have a listen.
Sniffle, sniffle. Driffle, driffle.
Nick McGill.
Oh, man. Sade.
If you didn't have depression before listening to this track, you certainly do now.
Great thing to listen to on a Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this song musically. We are nigh on to wrapping up the album.
We sure are. Yeah. It's a good slowdown.
Yeah, it's a slowdown. Yeah. The tempo, I would say, is moderate to slow.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Very standard. Nothing too fancy to take away from the beautiful simplicity.
Yes. Again, we were talking last week in regards to At Last Forever about the piano heaviness of this side of the album.
Yes. It weighs on this side. It's heavy.
They put the piano off to the edge. Mm-hmm. It's for balance reasons.
Yeah.
Fuel efficiency, I think.
Yes, of the album. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is a very keys heavy, keys forward song. Right in the intro, we have the piano, flute, and drums. Drums very, very light.
A little Glock action in there too. Chimey bells. Very nice.
We move into the first verse. I wrote Martin ASAP, which stands for as softly as possible.
Brings jasmine tea on a painted tray and bends to kiss my frown away.
It's very, very, very soft and caressing. He's just like, he's the tendril vines intertwining between Ian's singing.
I think he was actually playing his guitar with a tendril vine instead of a pick.
Oh no, the strings were tendrils.
Oh, the strings were tendrils. I see. Ian was the pick.
Yes.
Yeah, Ian has quite a lot of echo effect on his voice.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he does. The keys, like in previous songs on this album, are a variety of buttons he's pushing there. I mean, we got synth, we've got piano.
That's actually how you play the piano, Nick, is you push a variety of buttons. They're all lined up. Yeah.
Why am I not good at the piano, woman?
Well, it's which button when.
That's it. That's the problem, yeah.
You're right. He's gathering a lot of sounds for this keys Zacopia.
It's a very 80s sound to me. 80s, like, sweet synthy love song.
Yes.
There are like one or two, like, I feel like it's so close to something, but I can't put my finger on the songs that I'm thinking of.
I know what you're saying. There is a certain vibe with this song.
Yeah.
That feels very nostalgic to me.
Yeah.
I wrote down at one point, I think it's around 2 minutes, 51 seconds. It almost reminds me of something that you might hear in a Miyazaki film.
Ooh.
That really, really beautifully emotive style of music that makes you feel nostalgic.
Joe Hisashi, that's it. Yeah, we listen to his stuff regularly. Gorgeous, gorgeous work.
Well, and that era was somewhat well known for its schmaltziness.
I can get behind a little schmaltz.
The 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
It's not my preference, but I can appreciate a good schmaltz when I hear it.
Isn't schmaltz like duck fat or something?
It's chicken
fat. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Yiddish word for chicken fat.
Yeah, I love Yiddish so much.
And I love chicken fat. Right at 1:40, we get reminded that this is, in fact, a rock and roll band. We have
that little breakdown.
Yeah, we have Martin coming in and then the drums, which is nice because it is sort of that moment of like, oh, yeah, this is Jethro Tull.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that breakdown, looks like it's about 1:30, maybe a little bit before, is also really nice. There's a lot of flavor. There's a lot of texture.
Yes.
It's everybody's working together in concert. And it's really, I think it's the most potent part of the song itself. It really is powerful in how driving it is comparatively from that really slow, sweet kind of soft susurration of walking through a field. And then you're empowered and then you power forward through that.
Yeah. Let me listen to that segment again.
Yeah. Look, it's about 1:30.
Oh. Horns. This is what I was referring to.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, that part's my favorite, hands down.
In that lead up to the breakout, the breakaway, there are some synth horns that we have.
Yep, I've got that one. That's so fun. And they're not bad. The synth horn technology has clearly advanced over the years, in Tull in particular.
Yes.
It's not bad, I mean, if you're not really paying attention, you could get by without thinking that it's actually synth.
Well, and even if you do think it's synth, you're like, yes, a synth horn.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a special novelty to it.
Thank you, Mr. Giddings. I'll have another.
Not too many.
Not too many.
I'll take one more at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interplay with the soft and heavy of this track. That sometimes we do have that more kind of robust. You feel like you're gaining a little bit momentum. And directly to there, Ian sings in as soft a voice, I think, as we've ever heard him. The cover's on, the coast is clear.
The cover's on, the coast is clear.
He's like barely making any noise. It's really sweet.
Yeah. In saying that this has that balance of heavy and light, I think this one is remarkable, though, because usually it's the heavy with like the little tastes of the light. This is light with the smattering of heavy in there. Our base, our pizza base is light, and we have heavy cheese on top.
It's a cauliflower pizza.
Yeah.
It's a cauliflower crust pizza with real cheese. So as soon as you pick it up, it just immediately falls apart.
Dust and strings.
No way to eat it. Best thing to do is put it in a bowl, really.
Yeah. Yeah, deconstructed pizza, it's fine.
But it's interesting because the light side of things, I'm struggling not to talk about the content.
I feel like it's fairly intertwined, so.
Yeah. It's interesting how the lightness is also the sadness or the melancholy. Mm-hmm. It's not like a deep, angsty rock and roll song about melancholy like there are so many of. Mm-hmm. It's a sweet, sweet song about melancholy, and then the hopefulness sometimes comes in, and that's represented by that more of that rock sound.
Yeah, the swell of the horns, it feels like it goes into a major.
Yes.
It feels like it comes up. The darker, heavy, sad songs, it feels like it's an active depression. This is a passive depression. This is me literally looking out my window at the rain coming down. Ray just brought me a cup of tea, and I'm just like,
I could die right now.
yeah. Yeah, and then the sun peeks through the cloud a little bit, and it's like, oh,
rock
some
and roll,
vitamin
baby.
D.
Around 3 minutes in, it's only a 4-minute song.
Very quick for this album.
Yeah. Martin comes in again in the most pronounced way that we have him at any point during the song. Comes in with some crunchiness on the guitar. That cycles up and down and then cycles up one more time and then out, and then we are left to finish out the song with some sweet fluty tooties.
Yeah. Wraps it up at like almost 4 on the nose.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think not a ton else for me to say musically about this song. It's very sweet, like you said. Mm-hmm. It's complex. I sort of have a little bit of a
aversion.
Thank you, an aversion to this more sweet, sentimental side of things. But it is so freaking pretty.
Yeah.
Just even the tune, that flute line that repeats D D. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so simple. It's just
Yeah.
It's just 4 notes, but they're so emotively played.
Yeah, the expression behind it. And like you said, you said it about his voice, but I think there's also like a reverb or something on the flute itself.
Yes.
It's not super echoey, but it's enough to make it ethereal.
It's so funny, the music side of this, even though with the lyrics, we could certainly argue that there is a physical location to this song. Mm-hmm. The music makes it feel very placeless.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that really helps with the idea of this song. The August rain, quote unquote, can be anything and anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's always the August rain.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when we're depressed in our house, we use the phrase heavy boots.
Oh, yes.
It's from Incredibly Close, Extremely Loud or something like that. Mm-hmm. Read that a long time ago, but that's like the key thing that we picked up, and we still use heavy boots.
Yeah.
But it's the August rain. It's heavy boots.
Yeah. Yep. That feeling of stuckness.
Yeah.
With the contrast of someone who makes it just a little bit better.
Yeah. The lifeline.
Yeah. Nick, welcome to the halfway point of the show.
Here we are already.
It's a refueling session.
Here we are. We're going to top off the tank with some useful information. And we've got a series of things today. We will wrap up this segment with our program reading for this song and Mr. Don Perry. I believe it is his CV this week. Omen will have an email in the middle, but I will start because it is the second to last track off the album. We're going to talk album art.
Oh,
So here we are. I've got that vinyl, that gorgeous leaf, sun, different tree leaves, and different buildings scattered on there.
Oh, wait, the buildings.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice those.
One's the Empire State Building, I think. One is that one the Leaning Tower of Pisa, maybe? We've got the Eiffel Tower there.
Uh-huh. One of them looks like an obelisk. It could almost be the Washington Monument. That's so interesting. I never noticed those.
One could be the Sears Tower. So that's our front. Our inside is that same kind of color scheme. The leaves and buildings are kind of dotted throughout, and it's just our text of the song lyrics.
White text on black background.
It's actually like a weird, I'm glad you brought that up. It's this weird, like, very fine, speckly, almost like on old televisions, if you like keyed it to something that was almost a channel, and it's just like this really, really barely visible colored fuzz.
Yeah, staticky.
Yeah. And then the back has the bigger sun motif, our leaves, and then the roots on there, and the circle of the track names, and the times tied to those track names.
Oh, so cool.
The designing firm, I suppose, for this album and a few others from Tull, actually, is Zarkowski Designs Limited.
Huh. Which other albums did they do of Tull's?
They did Secret Language of Birds, which if you look at it, definitely, it's got that weird, like, almost kind of cutout feel to it.
Yes, exactly.
They also did A Little Light Music, also exactly that cutout feeling to it. Apparently they did an album for Eric Clapton. They did one for Johnny Nash, one for Bogart Company, Mort Schumann, and Only Lonely. And that's about it. And that's the mid to late 80s. This was 95. Little Light Music was 92. Secret Language was right around this time as well, we know.
Yeah.
Some final details about Zarkowski Design. They incorporated in 1985, early January 1985. They started out named as Bikemore Limited. And then after just a month, they changed their name to Zarkowski. They were a book publishing firm and support activities to performing arts. That's what they're classified as.
Interesting.
And then they dissolved on the 2nd of April in 2019.
Wow, we outlasted Zarcodium.
And they were based out of Surrey.
Huh.
Yeah.
A fun little detail about that front cover, in the same way that I had never noticed the buildings and known that they were specific, those leaves, those aren't just artist-rendered, fun, made-up leaves. Those are actual leaves from actual trees. You can see an oak.
A beech.
Yes, a beech.
A maple.
An ash, I think, in there. A lot of the classic hardwoods.
Yeah, it's your classic hardwood.
Classic hardwood.
They all look familiar, whether I can identify them or not.
Right.
It's really interesting because they've depicted it where on the full outside of the circle is the roots, and all of their roots are intertwined between the leaves and the buildings themselves.
Yeah.
And they've depicted these leaves basically as trees themselves.
Right.
They've got that trunk and everything. It's a really cool depiction. This is some of my favorite album art, to be honest.
Yeah, and great that you have it in vinyl so you can actually appreciate it up close.
Yeah, you definitely lose something with looking at this digital, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, Zarkowski Designs, that is the last of the vinyl to chit-chat about.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Actually, I think Homo eroticus came out on vinyl, actually, but that is not one that I have.
And now we have a delightful little email from none other than Greggy K.
Greggy.
A well-traveled writer-inner, well-traveled in our ear holes at least. He writes, "Good morning, Momes. As usual, I am several episodes behind and have only just heard your episode on Rare and Precious Chain. You were talking about the absolutely stunning percussion work, and I heartily agree. In 1995, Ian released his second solo album, Divinity's 12 Dances with God, shortly before Tull released Roots to Branches. That summer, Ian did a short tour with Divinities, in which the first half of the show featured the all-instrumental album, followed up by a set of Tull favorites. The show was remarkable and featured Andrew Giddings on keyboard, Jonathan Noyce on bass, Chris Leslie, Fairport Convention, on guitar. Interesting. And Doane Perry was on percussion. Mr. Martin Barr must have been on vacation. One of the absolute highlights of the show was a song that featured Doane going absolutely bonkers on all manner of hand drums and various things you shake or hit. I believe the song was En Afrique, but I could well be mistaken about that. I was always impressed with his style of drumming, but during this show, he put on an absolute clinic. So, in November of the same year, when the Roots to Branches tour came to America, I was really anticipating another tour de force performance by Doane on Rare and Precious Chain. The performance was great, but much to my disappointment, Doane remained behind the drum kit, and much of the hand drumming heard in the song was piped in.
Bummer.
I think he was featured later in the show sitting up on stage with bongos in a small crash, perhaps playing Fat Man. At any rate, I just wanted to take the time to sing his much-deserved praises. All the best, Greggy K.
Greggy K, thank you so much.
It is interesting to see that in performance, when it is under the label of Tull, it seems like certain rules apply. And when it's not Tull, those rules could be suspended a little bit.
Like Tull versus Ian Solo, you're saying?
For instance, yes, exactly. But even, I remember one of the tours that we went to, and it was very clear that they were trying an experiment, and it felt very experimental in that instead of Ian introducing every single one of the shows, they would trade off, and different band members would actually say a little...
Introducing one of the songs, you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
Wow, I don't remember that.
And it felt like they were all having a great time and Ian was somewhat uncomfortable. But it was sort of the exception that proved the rule. You know, Ian always is the one talking directly to the audience. So just having someone else, I don't know, it was interesting.
Yeah, it probably did not last long.
It was just that one show.
It's that single show. We got that special show. Awesome little anecdote there, Greggy K. That's great. Again, Tull Skulls providing us in the actual moment in situ context that we just would not have had. And we really, really appreciate that.
Emailing us from the past. That reminds me, the announcement has been made. It's long been done at this point. But if you want to email us, the new email is fecklessmomes@gmail.com. Gmail.com.
Fecklessmomes@gmail.
Not fecklessmomes.com.gmail.com. Just gmail.com.com.
Great. That'll be great for everybody. Thank you.
Do we have anything left of Die Musica program to read from?
Two more, one for each track. So now we are on Mr. Doane Perry's, how fortuitous for Greggy K's little anecdote. Mr. Doane Perry's CV. Here's Doane in front of his set here.
Oh, very handsome, very haggard.
He always wore the fun little floppy chapeaus.
Yeah.
Mr. Doane Perry, curriculum vitae, full name Doane Etheridge Perry.
Amazing.
Shocked we never heard Ian pick on that. Address Woodland Hills, California, USA.
Oh.
Date and place of birth, Mount Kisco, New York, June 16th, 1954. Raven lived in Mount Kisco. That's where she was born and raised.
My God.
That's bonkers.
She's going to be Tull's next drummer.
Nationality, American. Education, Browning, St. Bernard's and Collegiate Schools, grades 1 through 12. Attended New York University for 1 year and extension programs at the New School, Rutgers, and Juilliard.
Wow.
Qualifications gained. I have no important degrees to speak of, but I don't regard that as being particularly relevant anyway, as they're largely meaningless in my profession in terms of getting work, or keeping it for that matter. I feel extremely fortunate, however, in having had some very good teachers along the way who gave me the tools to teach myself, and as a result, I have always been a fairly motivated self-educator and believe that aspect of my formal and ongoing education to be of much greater benefit and lasting value than anything else. Work experience. At 14, I began working weekends with my own band in New York and continued doing that until finishing high school at 17, apart from a brief detour as a Baskin-Robbins ice cream vendor. At 18, I turned professional despite continuing school, which ultimately created a serious conflict with the school primarily, as I was often traveling. This resulted in an either-or decision, and I opted for music full-time.
Nice.
I began doing everything I possibly could to gain experience, which was a combination of live and studio work spanning a weird and wonderful cross-section of music occurring in New York at that time. Rock, pop, jazz, orchestral, dance, R&B, folk, and every ethnic music imaginable. What an amazing time to be a young musician in New York. Over the years, I've had the great good fortune to work with a wide variety of gifted artists. Well-known and not so well-known, but all of whom I've learned something from or at the very least enjoyed myself. So, in no particular order, thank you to Lou Reed, Bette Midler, Taya McCarrow, Phyllis Hyman, Todd Rundgren, Baird Hersey, Brenda Russell, Dave Mason, Michael Columbier, Peter Allen, Pat Benatar, Jim Messina, Martha and the Vandellas, Peter Cetera, Dweezil Zappa, Stan Getz, Kitaro and John Anderson, Fairport Convention, Laura Branigan, Dionne Warwick, Liza Minnelli, Patty Scafali, Charles Aznavour, Narada Michael Walden, Jess Roden, Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil, Bill Champlin, Freda Payne, Jeffrey Osborne, Gary U.S. Bonds, Scout Maxis, Hunter Dragon, Tommy Emmanuel, Tom Pacheco, Pat Elger and Artie Traum, Gary Brooker, Adrian Gervitz, Katie Segal, Magellan, Deborah Holland, David Schwartz, Michael Ruff, James McVeigh, Michael O'Martian, Paul Rothschild, David Foster, Stuart Levine, Vince DiCola and Ellis Hall, Heather Woodruff, and Jethro Tull.
Wow.
I recognized a couple of those names.
Yeah, Liza Minnelli.
Yeah. Jethro Tull?
I've heard of them. I just found his website. He has recorded on over 100 records to date.
That does not surprise me. So Katie Segal is a name. If it's the same Katie Segal, that's the voice of Leela.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah, that's she was from Married with Children, but she is a singer. I did know that.
Yeah.
Other relevant information, my own project in collaboration with Vince DiCola and Ellis Hall entitled Thread will be released late 1995, early 1996. Interests and hobbies. When I'm at home and the weather is nice, I love to swim. I can spend hours writing music in my studio, which I never really regard as work anyway. It is something I just genuinely love to do. But most of all, I enjoy reading any and everything. I wish I could take an entire year and read everything in the house. One of my favorite pastimes in London is to go to the bookstores, to search out new and used treasures which I would never come across in America. I bring them home and store them away like a squirrel until I can get around to them. I always enjoy grabbing a handful of these unopened jewels before going away on tour. Ironically, I often get more reading done on the road, but I always end up going home with more books than when I left. Talk about excess baggage. Sorry, Kenny, and you thought it was just equipment all these years. Must be the one of the roadies.
Yeah, I would imagine.
You bought a book in London too, right? What was yours?
I did buy a book
From the Old Gay Bookstore?
Yeah, it was a collection of fragments of Sappho, the Greek poet.
Delicious. Tasty morsels.
I'm just looking at Thread, and it looks like it has a very good rating.
And finally, Doan Perry's write-up for Stuck Out in the August Rain.
Ah, yes.
This track contains my favorite section of music on the entire record, which is the 8 bars that comprise the bridge. That's our favorite part too.
Yeah.
The way the chords move through the changes with the beautiful stately melody on top, the subtle keyboard harmonization underneath, and the bass line is incredibly moving to me. I loved that bridge so much I thought it should have been the chorus, but again, the very reason that it isn't makes me want to go back and hear it over and over, because it never wears out its welcome. The other thing I love about this song is the way it subtly glides through all these various key signatures without ever really calling attention to the fact that it is doing so.
Wow.
Invariably, the band members never hear the lyrics, or much of them, or even sometimes the vocal melody until later in the recording process, so it's always interesting to see if your mental musical picture of the song has any correlation to the lyrics that are ultimately sung. Sometimes you can guess the general direction, other times the result is extraordinarily different from what you've imagined. On this track, the wistfully haunting nature of the piece was beautifully captured and reflected in the lyric.
A very adroit write-up from Don Perry. And Nick, perhaps you can tell me how that word is actually pronounced.
Spell it.
Adroit? Adroit?
Adroit. Yeah.
Adroit?
Yep.
I don't prefer to pronounce it that way. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like however it is you just pronounced it the last 4 times. Because it was different every time.
It's still finding its footing. Thread does not seem to be on Spotify.
That's the problem with some of those like deep cut albums is you got to dig. You got to dig and find them. You'll find a CD of one somewhere, probably for pretty cheap.
Yeah, that's why we are happy to sell you a digging shovel.
Yes.
Right now, email us at fecklessmomes@gmail.com and find out how you can get your very own Tull shovel.
Talk Tull to me branded.
Talk shovel to me. Shovel Tull to me. Now, it is time for us to dive into the lyrics, which were written for this song, which Don Perry has still never heard.
He plugs his ears during this song.
Yeah. The song is called Stuck in the August Rain. Mm-hmm. We've already talked a little bit about what that might mean, but I think that it's worth discussing a little bit more. I think it's important to remember the Britishness of the perspective of this title.
Okay, sure. Good point.
In some parts of the area, August rain is a welcome occurrence.
If it's too hot?
Yeah, if it's too hot, if your garden's dry, it might be a great thing to have it rain in August. In the British Isles, August is one of the only times during the year that the sun shows itself for more than 30 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
So if it rains in August, I think it maybe feels even more like a kick in the pants.
Yeah. It is a stereotype, but it is apparently very true that London and England are very, very, very rainy. Not for the week we were there. We didn't see a single drop of rain when we were in London. We saw a little bit of rain in Scotland, but yeah, it was crispy and clear and sunny for us.
Yeah, but only for us, not for anyone else.
Thank you, London, by the way, for doing that for us. We gave you the dates we were going to be there. You scheduled it. I appreciate that.
Thanks, London. Yes, and I imagine, especially the further north you go, if you're on the Isle of Skye, for instance, that it just, the rain just sucks all the joy right out of you.
And it's just worse. It's just worse rain.
Yeah.
There.
So this song is about depression. Join us next week when we finish off the album. Actually, so I don't think this song is about depression. I think the setting of this song is depression.
This song is set to depression.
Yes.
Happy, excited, depression.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think that the hero of this song, the protagonist of this song, is the mysterious she. She walks between the lines and she can read my signs.
Oh, she's the protagonist.
I think so.
Interesting.
I think the singer is both the blighted kingdom and the dragon.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, I like that.
Brings jasmine tea on a painted tray and bends to kiss my frown away.
Brings jasmine tea on a painted tray and bends to kiss my frown away.
How sweet and lovely.
Yes.
Just great. We're not yet expecting anything too terribly depressing. The music has been like a little light and nice, and maybe Ian has a cold and she's treating him nicely. Maybe he's been wallowing away and writing music for several hours, and she comes in and gives him a little snacky poo.
Yeah, with her flaming sword of jasmine tea and her shield of a painted tray.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm still stuck in the August rain, stuck out in the cloudburst once again.
But I'm still stuck in the August rain, stuck out in the cloudburst once again.
Interesting use of cloudburst. Nick, meteorologically, what does that refer to?
Is that not just a spate of rain? I don't know what it's supposed to be.
I think it is, but I think it has a connotation of being a sudden heavy downpour that almost comes out of nowhere. It's like clear day, oh, there's a cloud.
Yeah.
Downburst.
So you're likely to get caught in a cloud burst.
Right.
Being unexpected.
Didn't see it coming.
Yeah. So we have oh, this really, really nice thing. This is happening. This is a sweet person. But that but is crucial there. It should be bolded. But I'm still stuck in the August rain.
Yeah, which is interesting. It doesn't even have to be raining for him to be stuck in the August rain. It's
Right.
a complete metaphor.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to get yourself together. You got stuck in a moment and you can't get out of it.
Is that you too?
That's you too.
Ugh.
You got to get yourself together. You got stuck in a moment, and now you can't get out of it.
The verse continues. This is where we get the really soft, kind of subtle singing. The cover's on, the coast is clear. We're all battened down, only us here.
The cover's on, the coast is clear. We're all battened down, only us here.
Sounds rather nice. Little pillow fort, little intimate time.
It's rainy outside. We're keeping ourselves safe and dry and warm.
Yep. But
But
I'm still stuck in the August rain, stuck out in the cloudburst once again. It's really interesting. It's almost as if he got rained on, the singer got rained on, and the rain has permeated down into his bones. So that even when he's warm and dry, he still feels the chill and the wet dampness and the offense of being caught in the rain.
and that's perfect imagery for depression or being in a slump,
Yes.
being affected by something that can change your mood so drastically and hang around for so long.
Even the implication of a cloudburst, I'm sure you've experienced this from time to time where you'll be in a good mood, everything's great, and then just out of nowhere you're like, and maybe I could just get run over by a bus right now, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. It's like it just hits you. That to me is what I think of when I see cloudburst or when I hear cloudburst.
This is pure speculation, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ian has depression.
He's been treated for mild depression. He's been treated for growing pains.
Yeah.
We know that in the lyrics.
We are the doctor to his disease.
We are the doctor. I'm Dr. Broganbloom.
Broganbloom?
Is that what I'm...
Bogenbroom.
Boganbroom. Yeah.
Doctors Bogenbroom and Broganbloom. It's a private practice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, and in that verse, we have sort of the transition point, melody-wise, we have, she walks between the lines and she can read my signs.
Science.
She walks between the lines. She can read my signs.
A very Tenacious D singing
Yeah.
of signs.
We don't talk about Tenacious D anymore. Jack Black's in the shithouse.
I thought, what's his name was in the shithouse?
No, we support Kyle.
Oh, we support Kyle? We don't support Jack Black?
Yeah.
Everything's moving so
Because
fast.
Jack Black threw Kyle under the bus.
A literal bus?
A literal bus.
That's just not nice.
It's a campaign bus.
I did hear that there was some controversy.
Yeah.
So then we have another repeat of Stuck Out in the August Rain, Out in the Cloudburst once again.
And that's our horn swell, I think, at that point.
Yes, sort of a chant. Stuck out in the August rain.
Yeah, and there may be multiple layering of the voice in that one, actually, now that I think about it. I think there's a low one going on underneath that. I think. Could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I will delete this entire recording and we start over.
This entire podcast.
Stuck out in the August rain. Out in the cloudburst once again.
We then get a little bit of a change back into the verse. Single-minded in my gloom, I appear to revel in this darkened room.
Single-minded in my gloom, I appear to revel in this darkened room.
Today we call that rotting.
Is that the term for it?
Yeah, like, oh, what are you going to do this weekend? Nothing. I'm just going to rot.
Really?
Yeah, it means like staying in your room and like shutting the world out.
Wow, I did not know there was a term for that.
Oh yeah, big fan of it.
Yeah.
Personally, I love a good rot.
You can't rot when you have a 7-year-old.
Nor can you rot if you are on a multi-nation tour playing like 300 dates a year.
Yeah. No time to rot.
And I think that that is part of this ongoing theme that we've seen with Ian's music, There are so many songs about like, I'm so happy to be home. Oh no, I'm so depressed. I have to go on the road again.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get home. And now that I'm home, when can I possibly leave?
Yeah. One exacerbates the other. There has to be a fine balance somewhere, but it's so hard to find that balance.
Yes.
This one does not start out with that happy potential. This one is like, I'm single-minded in my gloom. There's nothing but the blinders of me looking into this dark corner.
Yes, and there seems to be, I get the sense that there's something that feels productive about it. There seems to be something that the singer feels it's almost like his job to do that.
Yeah.
But he knows that he's also stuck in it.
Right. And the one potentially positive here is I appear to revel in the darkened room. So he's thriving. He's a mushroom. He's thriving in the dark. Even though outward appearance is like, oh, he needs time in there. He's having a good time in there. Inside, the darkness is even worse.
And she knows what the real situation is. He can convince anyone else, oh, I'm having a great time alone in here with my broken light bulbs and my pint of sherry.
Get out.
Get out, please. But she, whoever the she is, which I think this is a very Shona-inspired song.
Feels it.
She walks between the lines and she can read my signs. I think that's really nice because typically we say she can read between the lines, but she can actually walk between the lines.
Yeah. And that's it. And then we just get repetition. So that's the end of our main thesis.
And I'm sure we'll talk more about this. I've sort of already hinted at this, but the closer that we get to .com and Bends Like a Willow, I really feel like Bends Like a Willow is the fully developed version of some of the themes in this song.
Even musically, like I can hear .com musically.
Yes.
In this song.
The production style is similar.
Yes. There's a lot of similarities in this era between Divinities, Secret Language of Birds, .com, and Roots.
Yes.
Even though they're a couple of years apart.
They're the same era.
Those chunks of two are in the same era, yeah.
And just to preview some of the lyrics from Bends Like a Willow, when I'm caustic and cold, she might dare to be bold, ease me round to her warm way of thinking.
Yeah.
Fill me up from the cup of love that she's drinking.
When I'm caustic and cold, she might dare to be bold, ease me round to her warm way of thinking. Fill me up from the cup of love that she's drinking.
I mean, it's so parallel.
Yeah.
Hard for me to ignore.
When I'm just being a miserable grump, she doesn't take it personally and she does what she can to make me feel better. That's me and Raven to a T. She does her best.
And the fact that it comes not out of a place of, hey, you asshole, it's time to stop moping.
Right.
But rather like, oh, I actually really genuinely understand what's happening here. Even maybe better than the person experiencing it.
Yeah, there's such compassion in this character.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think that Ian has rightfully taken great efforts to protect his family, his real family, from the prying eyes of the critics and the world.
Yeah, and I think this is a good time to announce that we are actually his adoptive sons. We were saving it for the last episode, but I mean, it just feels right.
It just feels right. It feels right. Salamander's sons. But I do feel like the mythic version of Shona that we have access to through the songwriting is really this kind of Valkyrie of compassion, who is more powerful than any other creature in the universe, but has this amazing ability to change the situation with a cup of tea or with the right single word.
She uses her powers for good.
She uses her powers for good.
And she has all of the soft edges where he has all of the sharp and rough edges.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
The yin and the yang. The better half.
She is the flower and he is the wall around the garden.
He's protecting her.
And the rain is just literally the rain.
It's just August rain.
It's not a...
Don't read too much into it, guys.
No. Don't read... Who are you? Shona? Don't walk between the lines.
She walks between the lines, and she can wake my sad nights.
Dear sweet Christmas, Omen Thomas Sade.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what next week is?
I actually do, because I happen to know that it's the last track off of Roots to Branches, which is Another Harry's Bar.
That's right. Another Harry's Bar that wraps up this album. That puts us with 3 albums left. And I was just talking to Ray about this today. If they don't put out another album, we're done in July of next year.
No.
Under a year.
That doesn't sound right, Nick. Something sounds off about that.
What, the fact that there's a finite ending to this? Is that what feels wrong?
That is what feels wrong.
Yeah. We've got .com, we've got Thick as a Brick 2, and then Homo Eroticus, and then the 3 other albums that Ian comes out with in the next 3 months.
Yeah, which is, who knows? Have you seen the meme that's like Disney saying, "Oh, don't know, it just feels like we're in a creative rut." And then Studio Ghibli, and they're like, "We cannot physically restrain this elderly man from making beautiful films about laws."
Yes. I think I've seen that.
Featuring the freakiest little guys you've ever seen. I wouldn't feel comfortable putting any number on on the albums that are going to come out from him in the future.
No, definitely not.
It could be 0. It could be 10.
Yeah.
Until next week, Nick, I am creeping up the water spout, Omen Thomas Sade.
I'm single-minded in my gloom. I am Nick McGill.
Oh no, I got washed down the water spout. I'm Omen Thomas Sade.
And we just stepped on that spider. We're Talk Tull to Me.
Singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. The sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love.